Okay, so if you are welcome, if you are in a, I'm adjusting my other camera. So much technology. There we go. Okay, welcome. Um, so for today's sit, as I alluded to in the communication that I sent out to our community this morning, uh, the intention of today's sit is to provide a contrast to a recent practice we had, which was like from my perspective, like complex, super groovy, like oh, this big tour and everything. And today, it's just like we're gonna drop into silence, okay? But because I can't truly leave anything, even just silence, I shouldn't say can't, but I very rarely leave it without mucking a little bit with it. Um, our on ramp today, and on ramp is just the analogy I use for when I think about those first few moments of arriving in the practice, which you might consider yourself in right now. Okay, allow your body to settle, allow yourself to become comfortable. I certainly would not suggest that you have to be so still that you're uncomfortable. Okay, but it's also kind of like potato chips. One movement begets another, right? So just be, if you need to adjust your position now or at any point in the rest of our sit, know that you can always do that. But just be mindful of like, is this something I really need to do without losing focus and on and on and on. Okay. Anyway, not to belabor it, just make yourself comfortable. And I'll start actually by giving the simple instructions so that if you want to skip my on ramp, okay, that way into the practice and just get into the silent meditation, I'll know that I'll be talking for the first few minutes, but then I won't be, and the majority will be in complete silence. And so the instruction for those of you who might be in that boat is this: simply choose anything on which to focus without, to the exclusion as much as you can of all other things. So it might be your breath. That's a traditional target for concentration. It might be a feeling somewhere in your body. And alternatively, it might be something in your physical environment, either a sight or a sound. Okay, even mental targets like counting. The universe is yours, so you can pick. Okay? And that's it. I'm going to end up leaving you in silence with just that to focus on. So just relax into it and engage with that thing. Okay. Now, for those of you that are going to take in, just let my words kind of drop in on you without you don't have to like reach out for them to grab it or try to tease anything apart or really, discover anything big right now. But just a few little instructions as we gently move into the sit. Okay. These are more around attitude. Okay. The attitude that you're bringing to the practice. So the first question I'd have for you is, what is your sense of well-being? Like, are you able to feel, the fancy meditative word here would be equanimity or equanimous. But really what we're just talking about here is like psychological stability. So not the stability of your focus on that object, whatever it might be, but not being, the feeling of not being jerked around by your mind. That whatever happens, whatever changes in your environment or in your body or in your mind state, you're good with that. Okay, you're not, you're just generally more chill. Easy come, easy go. So not thinking about that, that highfalutin equanimity, but instead really just feeling chill, softer, easier. Less. I can do with less because you can. Okay? So in the silence that we are approaching, like a bullet, meditative bullet, this is a feeling to keep coming back to. Can you change that attitude to embrace more equanimity? Okay. Secondly, can you approach this practice with a feeling, an overall approach to kindness? There's no real mystery to this. We're our own worst critics often. We tend to be hardest on ourselves. These expectations, I should be here, I want to do this, if only this happens, I'll be happy. Let go of all of that. It's the flip side of the coin. How can I be good to myself? How can I be kind to myself? I am worth it. It's gonna be okay. Like all of these things, so all of these, just a softer, gentler, less demanding approach. Very few situations where negative self-talk or negative talk is a way of, people always talk about it as a motivator. I fundamentally don't buy it. It is an imperfect way of being. If you want to do something, be good to yourself. So here we want to meditate, so be good to yourself in the meditation. When you get distracted, notice I didn't say if, when you are distracted and you wake up, that is a win. You're winning meditation then. Okay? Don't worry about how many times you're distracted or what's distracting you. Or these questions, these self-doubts, am I doing this right? You are doing it wonderfully. Embrace that. Okay? So we've got the equanimity. We've layered on top of it sort of a frosting, if you will, of kindness. Just a general being chill and good. And then finally, can you add on top of all of that just an openness, a sense of curiosity, a sense of maybe even flow? Like you're not trying to affect the outcome, you're just interested to see what happens. So a sense of play can be your ally here, or even a sense of fun, like stakes are low, what's going on here? So if the enemy of this, in a sense, would be, or the opposite would be to feel, grippiness, like you're trying to force things, or they have to be a certain way. And I've heard this described as being like a, meditation as a death march. Not at all. Let all of that go. It's very difficult to feel lousy if you are curious. And if you don't believe me, just try it. Really generating those feelings of openness. Okay, now that was just slightly longer than 5. So with those 3 attitudes, I'm going to leave you in silence. And I'll pose a couple of questions to you on the 5s. So you'll know that I haven't left you, I haven't lost track. Just settle into your object of focus. And bear in mind the attitude. just about 5 minutes into the silence. So if you've been distracted, come on back. Just one thought here as we come into the next section of the meditation. Do you notice at all if it feels like you're trying to make something happen? Like you're trying to make the meditation rather than just allow the meditation? Can you kind of loosen your grip on things? Just a general, overall letting go. And be with that object, whatever it is that you're drawing your attention into. Maybe with a little smile. Good. So staying with it. Second question for you. What happens if you just accept those moments when you kind of wake up to being distracted? In other words, when you don't judge yourself or kind of give yourself a kick in the butt about having been distracted, or, I can't do this, or, whatever story it is you're telling yourself, you just kind of let it happen. Just, win. I woke up. There it is. Okay. Noticing and celebrating things being just as they are, instead of condemning yourself, probably for stuff you can control. Notice how that feels. Final little guidance for the final couple of moments of today's set. That feeling of being a meditator, like I am here meditating. That is what I am doing right now. Let's loosen our grip even further. What does it feel like to let go of that way of identifying and instead feel like you are being meditated, right? That you are not a person doing a thing. You're a process. You're like a flow of just what's happening right now. It's less that you're doing something and you're just being. In terms of whatever object of concentration you have, it might feel like you're that gap, the space that exists between what feels like you and what seems like it, whatever it is that you're concentrating on. It gets smaller. Notice that gap, if it can close, without you doing it. yourself to slowly come back. Maybe the line between feeling like you're doing the meditation and now the meditation is over, you cross that line. Maybe it's a little hard to feel that line. You kind of let go of things. So this kind of a bit of an obtuse way of putting it, just allowing yourself to slowly come back. You don't have to rush any of it. As kind of the truisms that are observed in meditation often are. And it's that meditation isn't an act of doing, it is to some extent allowing things to drop away, like the non-efforting. So that's what we played with today. I hope that landed with you well. Yeah, right on. Cool. Well, I hope that you get everything you need, all of you, whether that's sleep or some activity or some more of the fresh air. We're in such a nice stretch. Oh, I thought too, I've got one last thing, unless there are any questions from the group. There need to be. I hope the practice spoke for itself. But I've got a little a practice to go if you want. It's a short one. So it's I was trying to think of a name for this thing that I do, and actually I realized I don't have to give it a name because my partner, Krista, came up with this. She wasn't naming a meditation exactly. She was naming something that I do, and that, in fact, I think she had identified as well that my mom does. And it was kind of a way of teasing both me and, by extension, her. Krista would often, and anytime she saw one or the other of us, like really just like deeply enjoying something, like kind of, and usually something super mundane, like something that most people wouldn't enjoy, like ironing a shirt or, I don't know, the satisfaction of like having a clean toilet, that kind of thing. And anyway, what Chris called it, she'd say, good, like not just like the thing is good, and also like your embrace of it, like you're just like loving this, like weird, like why do you care so much about this? It was kind of like an exclamation of like, yeah, like just like, wow, you're like really loving it. And that's the practice. Okay. Can you catch yourself in a moment of the good? Like, in other words, if you're moving around in your day and some things are good and some things are not, and challenging and easy, and just that flow of life, can you kind of catch yourself in a moment where you're like totally grooving on something? You're totally just like vibing it, loving it, and you're like, oh yeah, that, or oh, this about me, whatever it is. Good. That's the play. That's it. And it's not like positive thinking. It's actually, like, if you understand what I mean there, it's not about just like being positive. Instead, it is a form of concentration. It's like, and directing your awareness. There's good stuff here. The good is just you being with it and noticing it. Just for a moment, just for a breath. Try it a few times in your day. That's it. Be well.